All right, New York Liberty faithful, we are back with another episode of Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. And listen, the New York Liberty bringing home some more hardware, more bottles were popped in the mid-season tournament. We're going to talk about that. And then in the game that absolutely counted for the standings, Brian, the Liberty get a big win over the Minnesota Lynx. We're going to talk about that. But as you can see, I already got the third quarter up. We were testing some things here. We do have to go back to another storyline that's coming up again. This case in Betnijah Laney-Hamilton's Curious did not play. We'll get into that and so much more on today's episode of Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans.
Gotta get up.
Gotta get up.
Gotta get up.
Gotta get up.
Oh yeah.
New York.
Oh yeah.
New York.
Hey, women's basketball fans, welcome to Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans brought to you by Black Rosie Media. I'm Erica L. Ayala.
And I'm Brian Fleurantin.
And we're your New York Liberty experts and co-hosts. We've covered the 2024 championship run and followed your favorite players all the way to the Paris Olympics.
Every episode, we bring you game recaps, the latest news and transactions, and exclusive interviews with Liberty players and coaches from the past, present, and future that you won't hear anywhere else.
We're building a community for fans who love this game as much as we do. So whether you're part of the Barclays faithful or tuning in from afar, we bring you closer to your
New York Liberty.
Oh yeah.
The aforementioned Betnijah Laney-Hamilton. That's one of my favorite clips. I'm glad we were able to utilize that, where her and Maddie and Ellie having a good time there. But again, welcome to Gotta Get Up. This is a podcast brought to you by Black Rosie Media. As we said in our intro, Erica L. Ayala here. That is Brian Fleurantin. And listen, I'm still in this Texas heat. By tomorrow, I'll be back in the Tulsa heat. But it looks like there's a little bit of a cold front in New York.
Yeah, last week was disgustingly hot. It was about 100 for about 4 days in a row. Today it's just been a little bit on the chillier side. So I have my sweater that I got from Ireland tonight. It's been good. Weather is a little bit misty. So when I went with a friend of mine and his wife for lunch today, it was a little bit on the cool side. But I'm gonna say this now, and don't fact check me in December, but that heat last week, I'm like, I wasn't feeling it. But if I had my choice, I rather Tulsa and Texas heat than dead New York winter. So I can only complain and fuss but so much.
As someone who's lived through both now for a few years, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. To be determined. We'll have to see. But hey, everybody, we've got Fabian in the house, swung over, always coming through. And you already know, we're getting into some tough questions. But here we go. Damien already here. It was luck. We'll break that down for sure. Al Page here. Good to see you. Good to see you. But it is going to be, we're going to start in the first quarter. Listen, two important wins, whether you want to call them luck or otherwise. Two important wins here. Of course, the first one over the Las Vegas Aces, and that was in the Cathy Cup, as we lovingly like to say here at Black Rosie Media. But this, Brian, is a 93-85 win. Now, do we need to put an asterisk on this? Maybe two, at least. Was a Commissioner's Cup game, the championship game. So it doesn't count towards the regular season. And no A'ja Wilson for the Las Vegas Aces.
I'm going to say no for two reasons. Firstly, Vegas came back and took the lead in the fourth quarter anyway. So you can't be like, oh, they never had a chance when that is a proud group of champions over there. And they fought back. They kept it close. They were competitive throughout, which speaks well to everything that Becky Hammond, Chelsea Gray, and Jackie Young have established as a foundation during this championship run. So I wouldn't want to be like, oh, beating them is whatever, when they lost the game last night against a team in Indiana that's not full strength. So Vegas is still dangerous. And I think sort of like shortchanging them right now, even without the MVP, is a little bit risky. And secondly, in post game, Eric, I'm not sure if you saw this clip, but someone had asked Chelsea if the game was house money, and Chelsea's like, "Nah, we play to win." And then it went back and forth, but ultimately, that group plays to win. They're not here for house money, and they're not here for a free game. They're here to ball and compete, and they did. And they fought back. They showed a lot of good things, I thought. Melissa Smith had another good outing. She's been good. So Vegas, even though I still have questions about everyone that's not Asia Wilson and the big three on that team, they're still a solid championship team, and they deserve the respect and the level of competition that a rival deserves.
Yeah, I did see the clip. We will not be playing it here on Black Rosie Media for a few different reasons, including that this is a podcast for New York Liberty fans. So we're going to leave that be. But I wanted to show this game flow chart because, I mean, you see that little blip there that they have for the Las Vegas Aces. I guess that's supposed to be silver. It looked a little purple to me. It was giving a little Valkyries. Yeah. But anyway, who knows? Now you look at this and you're like, okay, the New York Liberty dominated the game. The longest run was 12, 3 ties, and their biggest lead was 17. But here's the thing, Brian. You see how there's like, if you're looking from the bottom of the graph up, there's this peak that indicates in this case, you know, it's a regression, right? This is good New York Liberty basketball here somewhere in the middle of the third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter things got a little dicey for a while. Really, the third going into the middle of the fourth. And that's why I want to talk about important wins. Were they good wins? We can debate that in the chat. I know some people have already put their comments here, but it was an important win. Even without Asia Wilson. And, I understand why the question was asked because it is a conversation. How it was asked, obviously, Chelsea didn't like how it was asked. But anyway, enough about that. This is a game that I think showed the New York Liberty what it takes to win critical games. And it was a good practice run. And I say practice run for a few reasons. It's not like there was nothing on the line, but again, it's a mid-season tournament. There is a championship. Bottles were popped. Money was divvied out. And it can disrupt the flow it potentially for what the work that still needs to be done, right? And I think this game showed that the New York Liberty can get it done, and there is still work to be done. And I think this game was indicative of that. So then you wonder, of course, Brian, right? What are they going to do? If that wasn't a perfect game, but it was still a win, can they replicate that when they take on the Minnesota Lynx, who, because of the Aces loss or a few losses, they were and they remain a top team in the league. Well, the answer is they had almost an identical, at least as far as score. It was a very really close score between the Commissioner's Cup and what we saw against the Lynx on Friday, July 3rd, 99-86 win for the New York Liberty, Brian.
Yeah, funny thing, I think especially because it worked out that their two biggest rivals were there in back-to-back days. There's no letdown. There's no, we're gonna it's slow start. No. The group was really locked.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And Beck Gardner was mentioning that today, where it's like I guess our next challenge is
my cup matches your shirt.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, Beck was saying, we saw our two biggest rivals and we did what we needed to do. Mm-hmm. Now the challenge is keeping that energy and that flow state against everybody else. And that's going to be the next challenge for the group. Also, Nosatsu, great point. And for the Minnesota game, they did a lot well, I thought, because coming in Olivia Miles has been so sensational and so otherworldly good. It's a situation where you look and it's like, oh my God, How are they going to keep her from getting to the rim? How are they going to be able to force her into tough shots? And they did outside of like a great second quarter where Liv had like 10 points. They really bottled her up. Like they were shading her to her right a lot, really playing her into traffic, great switching, timely switching. And Al Page, that's right. Leos, the game was personal because hey, Minnesota took some money from them in 2024 in the Catholic Cup, and the Liberty took a championship from them in the finals. So these two teams have a lot going back and forth, and the game is always super competitive. So they were able to match that energy, and they were really able to make things challenging for Liv on the inside. Like she couldn't get to the rim as much as she wanted to. The passing lanes were really crowded and congested. They used the full gamut of defenders, whether it be Pauline picking up full court, Leo picking up full court, Stewie getting, like, whenever Minnesota would screen, Stewie would be able to get her on the switch. So they were able to do a lot of different things well. And I was talking to, I think it might have been JJ or somebody today, just about them toggling through so many different coverages on defense. It feels like the chemistry and the communication and coordination is a lot sharper as we go deeper and deeper into the year. And I think that's going to be critical for them to worry about, to continue building on, I should say. And especially with Miles being less, she wound up leaving like midway through like the third or fourth with cramping injury. She's out tonight, unfortunately, but they were able to succeed against her for the most part. Natasha Howard has been amazing this year, like one of the best finishers at the rim in the league. And she really wasn't able to get much into the game. They got her into foul trouble. Nia Coffey has been excellent. She couldn't really get going like that. Same for Kayla McBride, who's always given the Liberty fits over the years. So they did a lot of things very well. And I think what also helped is that Minnesota was a few possessions away. I think they might have been like 3 or 4 possessions behind in the fourth quarter, but it never felt like they were really threatening the Liberty. Because sometimes I feel like a 10-point lead is sometimes not a 10-point lead. Like you can be up by a bunch, but if it's 10, it's like, oh my God, this game is about to turn in a moment's notice. Once the Liberty got out to that, once they took the lead for good, I think if you pull up in the game tracker, you'll see, like once they took that lead for good, they were able to really keep Minnesota and punching distance away. So every time the Lynx would kind of get, it's like 11 or 10, jab, a nice right hook, get you back to 13, 14. And every time they were just able to keep Minnesota at bay. So as the game wound down, it was a sort of comforting win and not like a stressful, oh my God, we have to hold on by the skin of our teeth. And I feel like wins like that matter, especially because you want to beat a rival, but you want to beat them in a comfortable enough fashion to really show that you're doing pretty well. Because if this lead had gone to like 3 late, the mood and feelings of the group would have been a lot different. But the fact that they were able to keep it steady, really be able to withstand any attempt at a run Minnesota would put together, I think is really beneficial and positive, and is really helping this homestand really sort of like hit a higher note.
Yeah, and I think it's also, in theory, right? You have a situation where if you have a little bit of a cushion, you can give different looks. And so you don't have to throw the whole kitchen sink. But when you're playing a rival, you're fighting for position. These games, especially the head-to-heads, right? They do matter. I think psychologically, Leo took it personal. There's a lot of things going, and that not every team is 100% healthy at this point in the season, or has been healthy up to that point in the season in the case of the New York Liberty, right? So there are adjustments to be made, and the games still count. So I liked what we saw from the New York Liberty. Was it a tough stretch for Minnesota? Well, go listen to a Minnesota Lynx podcast and have them tell you about that. No, jokes aside, I think these were, again, 2 important wins, Brian. Psychologically, you look up in the standings and these are 2 teams that are ahead of you. Again, one doesn't officially count for the regular season, but it counts for the momentum that you can build. It counts for the scouting that you can do. It counts for the players that are working their way and maybe even fighting for position in the rotation for them to see that and to feel that. And yes, Fabian, I'm gonna star your comment. I see it there. We're gonna get there. I also see Amir. Hey, Amir, good to see you. You're in the chat and you're predicting what the record will be in 10 games. You actually brought that over to Slack, and I liked it so much that we're going to do that later on the show today. But, with Dallas coming up, I think if you also, as much as you can, look into these 2 wins, I like what we saw. Not perfect, but I liked what we saw, Brian, from the New York Liberty in these 2 games. I know you asked about the game flow, but I want to go back down to here. And I do love, this is just an aesthetic thing. I do love that the WNBA.com has done a dark background, because that's what I do. I'm always in dark mode. But also, you can't read what these are. You have to highlight them. I've committed them to memory. But if you're looking on the screen, you'll see 3 circles underneath some of the data visualizations. The first one is points in the paint. This one should be second chance points. And this one is fast break points. So, Brian, points in the paint, something that we've talked about specifically on the last show because we knew who the opponents were, but we want to see the New York Liberty win the points in the paint battle, and they did that 52-46 against Minnesota. Okay, no Nafisa Collier, so but still had Natasha Howard there, so I like that they won that. Second chance points. Now, baby, what do you mean? It was 27-11.
Didn't feel like it.
I mean, I don't like this. I like the win, but I don't like this particular stat. You know how I feel about boxing out. So second chance points is not only for lack of rebounding and boxing out, but you usually can, win that if you box out. So don't love that. But then you also look at this third one, fast break points. Because sometimes second chance and fast break, they relate to each other. But the fact that the New York Liberty won the fast break battle, getting into passing lanes, and being able to run and not allow Minnesota's defense to set up, those are the things that I did like in this particular game. Yeah, exactly, swung over. Those second chance points, oof. And a healthier, more rested Minnesota. I don't know. Maybe, the jerk chicken didn't sit right the night before. I don't know. You cannot take those chances when you play a team like Minnesota, Brian.
Yeah. I would say it didn't feel like they had 27 second chance points. So you always look back and say, oh, wow. I wouldn't have even noticed. But I do love the points in the paint advantage that they had. It's one of the things they've done incredibly well. They're able to consistently get downhill, get to the cup. That starts with Pauline Astier really being a revelation at the guard position. Sabrina getting downhill, whenever Stewie is cutting and on the go, those things open up. And even with it just being 52 points in the paint, the drives open up those corner threes that Leia was so good at. It opens up everything else, and then it gets the defense in motion. And whenever you can get even the best defenses, you move them around enough, there's going to be a break somewhere in the chain. And I think the Liberty did a really good job of exploiting that. So I like their process a lot on offense. I feel like they're more determined, they're more intentional about what they're trying to do and where they're looking to go. And I think that's going to make things a lot easier as we head into All-Star break and beyond.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. I'm trying to go back to, who was it? Yes, Al's comment here. It's been a weird season because I have more confidence in the New York Liberty when they face top teams than when they play lesser competition. This is something interesting because I do think that the New York Liberty have had a little bit of this over the last few seasons, but I do wonder if, some of not just the rookies or the true rookies, right? Like the Raquel Carreras or the Pauline Astiers, but I think it's also, right, if Stewie or Sab or JJ, in theory, isn't setting the pace or isn't making the urgency and communicating urgency in a way that the roster understands, and I guess you have to say the coaching staff as well, but I'm going to lean on the veterans here. It does seem that this team has difficulty at times kind of getting really juiced up, right? And that's some of the sandpaper or lack thereof that we talk about. That's some of the, some people call it athleticism. That's a slippery slope for a lot of reasons, historic reasons included. But I don't think that it's a lack of athleticism. I think it is uh honestly just kind of sometimes a lack of either utilizing or flexing of the muscle. And to me, that's grit, right? That's effort, that's sandpaper. And so I don't know if this team necessarily knows, or each individual player necessarily knows how to get into that zone. We know Sab knows how to get there. We know JJ can get there and sometimes beyond, right? And so we got to keep her in the sweet spot. And we absolutely know that Stewie can get there. I'm starting to understand what that might look like for Pauline Astier. I don't think MJ really has that. Not on the mean side. She'll get into a flow just that is all on her own and has nothing to do with what is or isn't being said. But either way, whether it's reacting or reactionary, or it's just taking over and commanding a game, I would like to see a little bit more of that, generally speaking, from this New York Liberty team as a unit and as individuals.
Yeah, I can see it. And it's so hard. Like, even the best teams across sports, you bring an extra oomph and energy to a particular rival as compared to a team that may be a little bit lower in the standings. Is why I think trap games are always so risky, because you have a situation where you're either looking ahead, or if you're caught on the last leg of a road trip, the focus may not be there. And I think it's something that Beck Gardner was saying today. They've got to really be able to establish that consistency against all the teams in the league, and not just the Las Vegas and Minnesota tier of teams. So I think that's going to be where the vets on the team can sort of steer things a little bit more closely if they so desire. You, especially being at home for against a good Dallas team that beat them pretty convincingly last month, it was, or maybe whenever it was. You'll be able to have that extra bit of energy as you look to get back from an earlier loss. The back-to-back this weekend is going to be challenging, so that's going to require a level of focus and detail. And I think games like these will help the group, because it allows them to think a little bit more deeper, reflect on the progress they've put together so far, while still knowing that they have room to be even better if they clear out a few things, fine-tune a couple other, and then really just have that level of consistent focus from minute 1 to minute 40.
Yeah, and I think it's huge. That's a huge point here, and it is something that's lacking. Swung over asking, how is sandpaper taught by coaches? Well, that's really interesting. I think you could say some of it is psychological, in that if you're not, or you create scenarios, some coaches or people will create scenarios in which you have to show resilience, right? You have to show resiliency, whether they're real or not, or perceived or fabricated. Sometimes that's what people do. Other times, on the opposite side of the spectrum, right, you have people who it's almost like how you train. I'm thinking dogs, but I think it goes for a lot of animals, like positive reinforcement, right? You sit, you get a treat. If you sit and stay, you get 2 treats, things like that. And I think, humans are the same way. You want to have a little bit of that positive reinforcement when you're doing things well and you're doing things in a way. And some of it also is not just coaching style, but also what the player responds to. Some players are like, okay, like, I don't know about these treats, because what else you got coming my way? I don't trust it. Just tell me what you need and I'm gonna go get it done. Other people are like, until I know where I'm at, I can't think about too much else. So I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to do some of that. And as we will hear in a clip that we'll play from Betnijah Laney-Hamilton, we don't have video of this. And Brian, I know you have a little bit more information as to why there's no video. We'll talk a little bit about that. But Betnijah was asked a little bit about well, she was asked about a lot of different things. And I think there's some of the clip where she talks about, like nobody taught me how to defend, or there's just certain things that you can't be taught that you either have it or you don't. And I think there are times where it's not that these Liberty players don't have some of that. I'm just not as familiar as to what that looks like. Like I know a New York style of grit very well. I'm learning, a Great Plains Tulsa version of, tough. But there's different ways of doing that. So what does that look like for this Liberty squad? It's something, I always want to talk about. But someone we know who is tough, TUFF! Is Stewie. Man, listen. I do think that your analysis holds water, as Marissa Tomei once said in My Cousin Vinny. I do think your analysis of the Minnesota game holds water, but we did overlook, at least because for the time being, this huge part of it. It was, what did I say it was? A 99-86, right? 99-86 win. Stewie scores 36 of those 99 points.
Mm-hmm.
Love this for Stewie, and the fact that I personally had her as my preseason MVP. I do think she needs to be a serious consideration because she can do things like drop 36 points on the Minnesota Lynx and help this Liberty team get a win. And that we're not always going to get 36-point Stewie, nor should we have to, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
But what were you seeing from Stewie when she dropped these 36 points after winning MVP in the Commissioner's Cup?
Yeah, one of the things I absolutely loved was that just about all of it was in the paint. Like they Pauline and Sabrina would consistently find her on rolls, getting to the basket on good cuts. She had 2 open threes that they were able to generate off drive and kick. And I think for Stewie in particular, because she's such a great finisher at the basket, if you can maximize and create as many of those opportunities as you can, it makes things so much easier for everyone else. And because she's a foul magnet, she's always drawing on. She's able to finish over traffic and finish against contact as well too. It allows for every possession to be a good one when she's getting a shot at the rim. Like either she's gonna finish at the rim, or someone like a JJ can clean up on the offensive boards. So I love the process early on. They were really deliberate about pounding Minnesota on the inside and getting Stewie on the go. I feel like that allowed her game to be sort of maximized and really built out to full capacity. And I think especially for any team, you want to be able to start, like once you have that success inside, defenses have to react, and then they'll try to send extra help in the paint. They may collapse in, provide more help on drives, and then everything else flows from that as a result. And when it's your best player who's getting it going early, it changes the dynamic of the entire game, because now the opponent has to put more on you. And in the shot chart here, great pull, everything is at the rim, and you get those shots. And she's like, I think she's in like the 70s as far as percentage inside the restricted area. So
yes, it was because I just was looking at it in the box score. She was at 73.7% from the floor, 14 of 19, Brian.
Mm-hmm. Yep, everything on the inside. It allows for so much more freedom for players on the perimeter, that you can't help off anyone on those drives against Liberty, because Leo is a tremendous 3-point shooter. Sabrina's great 3-point shooter. Pauline's very, very good. JJ's very good. And it makes it so every time she's down there, it's basically a one-on-one setting. And I feel like that allows for the offense to really get to where you want it to go. And I think that's where, for Chris and the offense, if they're able to continually get those shots, it just makes everything so much smoother. And when you have a player like a Stewie who can do a bit of everything, a big like JJ who can handle off pick and rolls, and something interesting that she mentioned to us last week is that Chris has been using her as the pick and roll ball handler a lot, and it's reminding JJ of the MVP year in Connecticut, where she was really able to tap into her game in a full capacity and a full range in that regard. I feel like by doing that and having a 5-4 pick and roll, like Stewie's rolling, defenses are trying to bring extra help for JJ, hedging a little bit more, trying to jam up her line of vision. But because she's such a great decision maker and she can see over help that comes, you're always going to be able to get something good when she has the ball in her hands.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, I want to go to what Swung Over is asking here. Also, didn't we have 5 starters in double figures, or was that the Aces?
No,
it was Leonie Fiebig had 13 points. Stewie, the aforementioned, 36. Jonquil Jones had 14. Sabrina Ionescu with another 15 plus point performance. I really thought it could have been a closer conversation for MVP. I know we didn't really get into that on this episode, but I'm going to ask you in a minute, Brian. So you're going to have to let us know. And then also Pauline Astier had 14 points. So here's the thing. This is a good win for the New York Liberty. And I'm still, maybe Damien's rubbing, I'm getting a little of my Damien energy here. I'm still concerned that 36 on a regular whatever Friday is just not sustainable unless other players step up. Now, here's the good news is that I agree with Charisse. I said it, and I know you made the correction with the name. Listen, I told y'all early, Stewie is my preseason pick for MVP, and I'm going to stick with that as long as I can. I'm not saying that she's going to win it, but that's who I picked in the preseason when she had, 16 points in 12 minutes? Less than 12 minutes in the preseason? I was like, okay, that's my horse. That's who I'm going with. But I mean, it doesn't happen often, so make sure you clip this for yourself, senor. I agree with Damien. Brianna Stewart will get her points, but can Sabrina and JJ get their points as well? And the answer, at least since who did they play coming into Commish Cup? They were so they played Golden State.
Yeah, Golden State.
And LA, I guess. Was it LA or Seattle? No, Seattle. Sorry, Seattle. It was Seattle. Seattle. Let's just go with Commissioner's Cup. Because it was a little before Commissioner's Cup, but we'll use that as the differentiator or the mark of delineation. Sabrina has been answering that question. And I know I said it in Slack, but man, some of these games for Sabrina, bad.
Yeah.
Tough time if you're a part of the Trade Sabrina crew. And y'all know who you are. Y'all know who you are. I'm trying to understand. For what? For what? Trader for what? I don't know. It couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. Amir saying Stewie is that one person in the clique who's actually on the list at the club, but then she slides over the side door and opens it to the rest of the crew. Listen, and you know what? This is perfect and why I love Stewie. I'm almost never the person on the list, but I hang out with Stewie's. How you think I be getting around at All-Star? Like, Brian, I be clinging on to the entourage. I'm like, I'm going where y'all go. I'm going. Y'all go. I'm going.
Yeah.
Let's do it. But I love that we're getting this game from Stewie. And yes, what Damien said, what we've said here before, I want to see more of it from other people, which then becomes the curious case of where do things sit with Betnijah Laney-Hamilton. I want to talk about that, Brian. But before we do that, let me know your thoughts, Brian. Commissioner's Cup MVP. I'm not going to lie. I'm not mad that Stewie got it. But I also thought that maybe it was Sabrina's.
Yeah, I would have given it to Sabrina. And the thing about award voting is that they it doesn't it doesn't happen at the end of the game. They
Mhm.
like Maddie was explaining that they want the vote in with like 4 minutes to go. So if someone is really exceptional down the stretch and changes the game and closes it in a definitive fashion in the way that Sabrina did, it may not reflect in the voting, which is unfortunate because at that point, Stewie had been the best player on the game.
Yeah.
But at the end, when Sabrina hit the three to seal the game and had the building on tilt in the way that she does, it's okay, game's being score efficient while she did it. 26, 5 and 5, great numbers across the board. It could have been, and it probably should have been, but it's one of those things where the mechanism of counting the votes and getting them tabulated and submitted and organized before everything is done because it's such a big production between rolling out the trophy, speeches, getting everything lined up. It necessitates getting a head start when it comes to putting things together. And it's one of those things where if there were more time available to the voters on the back end, they might have gone in a different direction. But it's
Mm.
just one of those things where Sab is sort of like caught between a rock and a hard place when it comes to managing the schedule and getting things done in a timely fashion.
Yeah, and obviously, as someone who's been a media voter in person before for these kinds of things, yes, we are asked for a specific window. I don't always love it. I understand it. I don't always love it, and I've been a media voter in a few different sports now because of this very thing. If we're talking a championship, I feel off of my eye test that more often than not in a championship caliber game, the game is still close with 5 minutes left on the regulation clock.
Plenty of time.
More often than not, I want to say my eye test, I'd say around 70 to 80% of the time at games that I just have been to. I'm talking in person. You're biting your nails to figure out if we got to get ready for overtime.
Yep.
So, I mean, I get it. And I also hate it because I do think that sometimes a player like Sabrina loses out because if the game is that close, and again, this is where I'm not trying to make an argument against Stewart. I literally told y'all I picked her for my MVP preseason. What I do want to advocate for is a player. In this case, it happens to be Sabrina Ionescu, but you know who else usually gets shorted? It's the role player. It's the X factor, who if all you're looking at is the however many points up to 5, that obviously is enough to keep it close. But then you have a person who sends it beyond, right? And takes the lead, gets the lead, helps the team keep the lead, whether on offense or defense. That's usually coming in clutch time.
Yeah. Like there's a reason why clutch time is if it's within like I think like 6 or 7 points in the last 5 minutes of the game. It's a reason why you hold off and that time is so valuable and has its own special delineation when it comes to statistics when you're filtering it out. So that's one of those things where you wish that, and especially since everyone's in person, theoretically it could be easy to just corral up the records of voters who have been selected for that kind of thing. Erica, you would have better experience about this than I would since you've done it before. So I guess it's one of those things where if you wanted to fine tune it, you could sort of figure out, oh, what's the latest time that we can have the voters put their ballot in while still leaving enough room to get everything organized and situated in the way that we want to.
I mean, and that I don't have an answer to. I will say that we are seeing more automated systems because usually it's like a piece of paper and you slide it down to the end. But I've covered hockey games in particular. And I think actually the Final Four, for Final Four for sure, they give you a link. And the link, though, closes at a certain time. That's also how we do all-star voting. And I think it's the same system. I'm trying to remember because it's changed in the last few years.
Hmm.
And it's been like a slow roll to more of an electronic thing for the WNBA. For sure, WNBA is electronic for our All-Star ballot. Well, I guess everything's electronic, but what I mean is that it's like like you go into like a
Yeah.
system, like you log in, as compared to them sending us something. They're like, here's your, Word document, and go on and type it on in and then email it back to us, So I think if it's more of an automated electronic system, then they should be able to extend that. And then it's almost like, I'm sure I've seen streams and other things and participated in things at live events where they're like, okay, you have 30 seconds. What's A, B, C, or D? Hit the number,
Yeah.
so I would like to see that, I guess, But anyway, Fabian, I liked your comment. I had a wishful thought and called Sab for MVP during the last pod. All right, now I love it. I went into the game and really thought I spoke it into existence. Well, the crowd decided. I don't know if it was unanimous, but it sounded overwhelmingly. The majority of that crowd wanted Sabrina to win that award. And I loved it. Cherise said, yeah, Sabrina should have won it. It is what it is. I see, Cherise, also you're asking about Satu. We're going to hold that till the fourth quarter, but I do see your questions there about Satu. We'll get into Satu a little bit later on the episode. But now we got to go to Betnijah Laney-Hamilton. Brian, we've talked about this before. I know I've mentioned that when we had Jackie Powell return to the show as a guest contributor, she and I got into this a little bit. And it's been something that I've been watching. I've been monitoring when I was with you and Jackie and the rest of the beat. I've been telling y'all in Slack and on the program, I haven't loved Betnijah's how she's been moving around. And that is understandable coming off of an injury, but I thought that it would be, especially knowing there was Leo, or like now knowing what we know, hindsight being 2020, that we would get really good minutes from Pauline. We've been getting solid minutes also from Marine Johannes. I like her organizing that second unit. But it just seemed to me like committing to a starting role for Betnijah Laney-Hamilton in the beginning of the season was something that was not going to be sustainable. I've said that before on this program. Now we're on the other side of what I think for the most part has been that nagging or that reconditioning, as well as a personal issue. And then you play the Las Vegas Aces, sans Asia Wilson, and she's a DNP. Talk me through what we heard from Chris DeMarco. I know that clip has been making its rounds. We're not going to play that clip on today's episode. We have another clip for you. But first, Brian, set me up. What did we hear from DeMarco about that?
Yeah, so the reasoning Chris gave on Tuesday as to why B was a DNP was that basically it came about with matchups. So in the first Vegas matchup last week, Tuesday, the Tuesday before the Commissioner's Cup, when they were in Las Vegas, B played essentially the entire second half when Satsu went down with what turned out to be her concussion, and she did pretty well. Like when she was able to match up with Asia on the inside, she was able to really handle things there, was utilized all over the court, and thus she did pretty well. And then Chris's explanation was that with Asia out, they were going to go a little bit smaller. So they wanted to try a different sort of lineup to see what they could make the most out of. Even in the game on Tuesday, Han Shu was a DNP coach's decision as well. And Han has been an integral part of the rotation up until this point of the season. So he was able to utilize Raquel a little bit more. And then Stewie JJ got the lion's share of the minutes, and then Leo as well. And then it's one of those things where the reasoning Chris gave is that the rotations are like tighten up a little bit, and it's just one of those things that just happens within the flow of a game. And then Friday, in addition to the chance, B didn't get it again. And then our pal Jeff Magliachetti asked him about it. It's like, the DNP, what happens? And then Chris was saying that she's still an integral part of the team. She's still going to be someone that contributes and has a role with what they're doing here. So it's one of those things where rotations, usually by the halfway point of the season, the coach has a full beat as to what the rotation is. Chris is in a bit of a trick bag when it comes to that, because people have been in and out so many times, and a key part of the rotation is missing the action right now, and we don't know when she'll be back. So when she comes back, that's when you gotta reorient the entire rotation all over again. So I don't think he's had a chance to really, from at any real point of the season, be like, okay, this is gonna be my 9 or 10. This is what everyone's gonna be. We'll roll, and then if I need to trim it down to 9 or 8 come playoff time, I know what it's gonna be. They really haven't had that opportunity this season, and it's one of those things where a player like B is almost caught in a bad spot because it's as she's working her way back, as she dealt with the personal matter that kept her away for a little bit of time, and then the knee injection that took her out a little bit more too. It's like she really hasn't had that full ramp up time to get going, because there have been good moments. The game in Atlanta, they won a few weeks back. She was great in the second half. The game against Vegas, that she helped really carry to the finish line with the rest of the group, did a great job there. So the moments happen there. The struggles have been loud as well too. But I think that's one of those things where the game in Seattle, they were all bad. Except for JJ, they were all terrible in my opinion. Golden State, they all let the rope slip in the second quarter. So I don't want to use those two games to be like, oh, because A, Betnijah is on the court, B happens that they lose and they aren't as competitive as they should have been. I don't think it's a one-to-one to line up that way. And I think it's unfair to her when they were all terrible in their own unique ways in those two outings. So I think it's a situation, and with like Leo being questionable for tomorrow night, I think it's something, and I'll stay in that comment for a moment too.
Yeah, I'm going to read it real quick. So Kamal is saying, Betnijah is a keeper. However, if she's not an asset in the eyes of the new coach, then trade her. Draft picks, she should be a starter. So yeah, Brian, I'll let you take first swing at that one.
Sure. I think the keeper part, I agree. I think you need people who have built the groundwork of the organization into the vision that it is currently. And Betnijah was a critical part of that when she came as a free agent in 2021. Like she was talking about it with us, and we on Black Royalty Media socials, we shared a clip of Betnijah talking about just how when the Liberty are involved in anything now, you just see Liberty fever all across the city through like the pennants in people's houses, the signs on the windows. They really are a part of the fabric and heartbeat of New York City, and Betnijah was a key and critical part of that. And it's something that the organization knows. When she re-signed, I think it might have been like 23 or something, Kobe was like, she's going to be a Ring of Honor member. And he's right. He will be.
100%.
And to the second part of what Kamal said, I don't necessarily agree with that vantage point. Because I know it sounds a little bit shaky when she's not getting minutes. And that could be seen as not being an asset. But I think it's a situation where you want to give a player as much room as possible, and you want to do it in a low stress setting. And I think for Chris, he has to sort of figure out and get the communication down pat as to what her role is going to be as far as like where she slots in the rotation. I think if I could sort of like Freaky Friday into Chris's brain and sort of figure out where he thinks he might have made a mistake, that might be it. Where he didn't make the communication that a DNP was a possibility. So I think that's there. I think that's where if it's I wish I could have a do-over and not commit an own goal, that would be it. And to the third, I'll combine 3 and 4 to sort of like save time. I still have to figure out how teams around the league value draft picks, because sometimes they would, like, some teams don't care, others are like watching the horde picks, things like that, and then you have a situation where you have a roster full of people who need to play but aren't going to get minutes because there's only but so many minutes you can give. So I don't think trading her is a thing that the team would do or should do, frankly. And to the starter piece, I'm gonna say no. And it's not, and it's not to belittle what she does or sort of like shade her in any kind of way. I
Yeah.
think the starting five with Pauline has been one of the league's very best as far as net rating and just in watching them. I think it's a situation where you really see how Pauline is helping the team. JJ mentioned today that Pauline has given the team a youthful energy that she thinks they needed, especially coming off of
Yes.
the year. So having that and having like a young rookie be what she does, and having Sabrina being able to guide the offense, put it in Pauline's hands, and then do what she does as well, I think keeping that matters a lot. And then when we get Satu back, well, not we, because they don't pay my checks. When they get Satu back, they'll have a situation where they have to reorient the rotation. But I think, and I'll have audio of this later for on our socials. Chris was talking about Pauline and how she's really grown in confidence from even when JK put her on his radar when he took the job. Now it's you see the confidence, you see it grow game by game by game. And between that, the youthful energy she brings, it really necessitates a key role for her on this group. And I think it's one that she'll keep as we get deeper into the year.
Yeah. And Damien, I know you said this or alluded to this on the last episode, but I think it tease us up. And Brian, you also talked about some stuff that we're going to hear in this clip. But Damien saying if DeMarco don't wake up and do some soul searching and insert Betnijah Laney, then maybe she may request a trade, in my opinion. And I don't want that to happen. Now, I've done some sleuthing around this, so I can broadly talk about it just from some sourcing that I've done. But we'll do that on the other side of the clip. So, Brian, you were in this scrum. This is from the game after Minnesota, right? The Minnesota win?
No. This if
or the practice.
Yeah, if it's what I'm thinking, it's the Thursday, so the game before Minnesota. So like last Thursday.
Okay, got it. Okay, sorry. Teed it up the wrong way. But this is Betnijah Laney-Hamilton speaking after Commissioner's Cup before Minnesota. There we go. Okay. And we don't have video. Brian, quickly, you have a little insight on why it's audio.
Yeah. So sometimes when I've done media with B in the past, she'll request not to have videos. It's just a personal preference. Like I've done community hits with B, and then she'll just be like, I'd rather audio only. And sometimes if I'm shooting video for her, I'll ask first if it's, hey, do you prefer video or audio only? She'll state her preference, and then we go from there. So it's just a personal preference thing.
Yep. And so something she's done before. So that's why we have audio here, and then we overlaid that with some classic B footage here. And by that, I just mean four different photos. Here's Betnijah Laney-Hamilton. It's going to run a little shorter than 3 minutes, but I wanted to play a nice chunk of this because there are a lot of different things that we pick up even with audio only. And I think it might help us circle back to some of the comments that are still in the chat. So here's Betnijah Laney-Hamilton. This is July 3rd after Commissioner's Cup, right before the Minnesota game.
The key to having a great bench is having really good leadership on it. I guess, how much do you believe that you can be that voice and the leader that the bench needs?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just something that I do. I communicate, I talk, encourage, so, yeah.
We'll take a few more. You go, Brian.
Hi. To circle back to the cup a little bit, it's been so much sort of basketball fever in New York, and you've been here with the Liberty building it up from the groundwork from 2021. Just now that you guys are so implanted in the city's consciousness, how does that feeling feel to sort of know that as you guys succeed, you'll always have as many people coming in and supporting as possible?
I think it feels really good, even just from where we started to where we are now, just walking around outside, right? As soon as you step foot out the building, you feel liberty. You can see the banners in people's home windows, in the storefronts, they have posters and all the things. And so to just know that the community is behind us, that they support us, and that they're here, it just gives us that extra motivation.
I understand that during big games and playoffs, the rotation can sometimes shrink or look a little bit different depending on how the game goes. But was it communicated with you, what the plan was heading into?
Sometimes the teams that win the title.
Sorry, I wanted to stop it there for a minute, Brian, because usually we do the overlay. It's a little different today, so apologies, everyone. That's a technical thing. Y'all don't have to worry about that. But we couldn't hear Betnijah, but we heard Maddie. That was Maddie, for those who know Maddie Kenny, the only traveling beat writer for the New York Liberty, which is awesome. New York Post investing. She effectively asked if, and she gave some grace by saying, listen, we know, as we just talked about, Brian, that the rotations are looking a little different with injuries, people coming back from injury. And she was asked, Maddie asked Betnijah if she had been, if the DNP had been communicated to her. I'm paraphrasing. We'll go back to the clip in just a minute, Brian. But I wanted to stop the video there because you were in this scrum and we did not, there is no audible reaction to Maddie's question. So do you remember Maddie asking that question? And what do you remember Betnijah reacting, or how she reacted, if at all, to that question?
Yeah, so this is towards the tail end. We've got a couple questions to go. Maddie asked her, and then B just shook her head no. And that's when Doug hopped in, like after like a second, after a little beat and like a second pause. Doug Feinberg from the AP hopped in with the next question, but wasn't communicated. And it ties back to the point we were making about communication.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, it ties back to the communication piece earlier, and I think that's where I think if they had a do-over, it'd be like, oh hey, this is happening in the flow of the game. Let me just like be like, oh okay, this how it is right now. It's not you. It's just the flow. It's just the game. It's one of those things that happen. Chris hinted at that a little bit in the post game, but it might have been one of those things where if you had a do-over, you just hop back in and do it in real time to prevent any sort of trouble that may sort of like spring up after the fact.
Exactly. So so I'm just gonna go back to this because this is Madeline again. So I want to play it, and then now we have the video set up differently so we can pause it if we need be. But again, Madeline Kenny asking the question that we just broke down, and you can hear the pause. We did not edit this. The one we have on social media is a little bit, it's cut differently for brevity, but this is unedited what Brian was able to capture.
No, it just gives us that extra motivation.
I understand that, like, during like big games and playoffs, like the rotation can sometimes shrink or look a little bit different depending on how the game goes. But was it communicated with you, like what the plan was heading into?
Sometimes the teams that win the title in season one have metaphoric hangovers for the next game. Does it help that you're playing a team, obviously, that you guys have had a good history with in big games, so to speak, in Minnesota?
In Minnesota, yeah, I think Minnesota has been another team that we've had big moments with, and so just seeing how they've been going, knowing and getting down the line, like they're another team that we're going to have to go through to attain our goal. I think it's a really big game for us, but just circling back to just making sure that we're focusing on us, regardless of who's in front of us, making sure that we're bringing our best selves.
B, you have a group of fans that like really appreciate you and love how you play. I guess just what is your message to them as you continue to sort of work back into playing?
Just thank you. Thank you for the support. Thank you for
You're good. You're good.
Yes.
You are.
That's all for me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that ended it right there. It got me a beat, like if you could probably hear it from the audio, but just being there in person, she got a little bit emotional at that point. And I think all of us, like, we was just like, okay, like we'll give you that space to yourself. Brian read the room as well. It was like, everyone's good. Yeah. And then we got everything we needed. Like we gave B that space to herself because I think one of the things, and I think especially thinking about that with the context of the chance on Friday, It has been pretty heavy for B this year, and just even as far as managing the injury piece that we know of, the personal thing we don't know of, and I would say it's not our business unless she shares with us about what's happening there. So it's one of those things where she's managing a lot, and her teammates have really been open about how much they've been helping her and really sort of like pouring into her. Marine on Friday night was talking about how she's really trying to uplift B on the bench. Like she'll make jokes to cheer her up a little bit, which I want to know what Marine Johannes's joke is like. That's going to be a separate conversation.
Wait.
I'm going to have to.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I do want to. We're going to come back to Betnijah Laney-Hamilton, and again, I've been doing some sleuthing and maybe figuring out some hypotheticals because a trade has been discussed for that game, before around the Commissioner's Cup and definitely before the Minnesota Lynx, and now with that clip, definitely after. But let me tell you a Marine Johannes story. Brian, I might have told you this story. I don't know if I've told it on the pod yet, but so we're in Indiana post All-Star, and was it Indiana? I think that's where I was. It was Indiana. Yeah, Indiana was last year. That was last year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're in Indiana for All-Star. Gabby Williams was an All-Star. And I'm wrapping up, was there with CBS, and I got to the airport early, dropped off my rental, and I was like, I'm just going to sit at whatever the first bar is and just unwind. I'm going to wind down, right? And so I go in and I see Gabby and Marine there. And I am pretty sure, definitely MJ and Gabby, I'm pretty confident they both know me by sight, but we didn't make eye contact and I wasn't going to say hi. I wanted them to relax. I knew I wanted to relax. So I was like, chill, no big deal.
Everybody off the clock today.
That's it. And I was like, if we make eye contact, I'm not going to not say hi, but I'm not going to go out of my way. Like, just let them be is what I'm thinking. Right. So they're talking and, I can't really hear their conversation and I'm not really trying to, because I'm just trying to do my thing. I didn't want to have to force them to make eye contact. So I was turned the other way. And at one point, and it was pretty slow. Like there was no one really in this little restaurant. So it was almost like it felt kind of private. But this woman comes over with a young person. I don't know if it was her daughter or whatever the case is, but she comes over with the young person and they go up to Gabby. And so I'm not facing them, but like I'm trying to sneak over my shoulder every once in a while. And so I kind of picked up the vibe. And the woman is like, oh, she loves you. She's such a big fan. Congratulations. Like all of this stuff. Right. And so at some point, Gabby is interacting with the young person. And so the woman goes to Marine, who is there. And she's like, oh, do you play basketball too? And I just hear Marine and I'm like trying to look over my shoulder. And Marine just goes, no.
I knew it. I knew it. Always pulling the anonymous too. Boy, I tell you what.
No, I had to work so hard not to audibly laugh. I thought that was the funniest thing. She was like, no.
Boy, being anonymous is such a blast when you're in public.
Listen, she was like, Mama, if you ain't know, I ain't letting you know. Oh gosh, that cracked me up.
Do not volunteer to take a shift if you don't have to.
Oh man, not Marine. She was like, listen, if y'all ain't know me, I ain't know me either.
Nope. That 23 on New York? Never heard of her.
No. She's like, are you like, she just was trying to, talk to the other person that was there with Gabby. She's like, do you play basketball too? No. Just an Olympic medalist.
No basketball.
No, she was just like, no. So I do think Marine is probably hilarious in a very matter of fact deadpan way. But we gotta see.
One other thing. So JJ was talking about sort of uplifting B today too, and JJ has a surprise gift she has in store. We have been sworn to secrecy as to what it is. I will tell Erica off camera when we're done. But it's something good. I'll say that for sure.
Ooh.
It's
I
very
mean,
nice. Yeah,
that's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be interesting. And so, I mean, I did want to tell that Marine joke because I don't know if I've ever told it on the pod. Y'all have to let me know if I did. Well, you heard it again. You're welcome. But no, going back to Betnijah and again, some of the inquiries and just hypotheticals that I've been chatting about. Here's the thing about Betnijah. Would I trade her? No. I agree with you, Brian. And you know, I've kind of been on this tip even after the championship. I was like, do I want Betnijah in New York? Yes. If Betnijah wants to start indefinitely, might not be the spot for her. I mean, I think we kind of saw the writing on the wall, you know, because for me, especially not knowing that Niara would go in expansion. I don't love that. That wasn't my favorite. I understand it. That doesn't mean I have to like it. You know, anyway, that's another conversation, but I think it's a difficult conversation. I think it is and should be, and this is, I know, something that Damien has been putting in the chat. I think it should be, and I honestly think it likely is an ongoing conversation because again, I think that this conversation probably could have been brought up as early as at the end of the 2024 run. Now B was out, of course, in 25, so that was moot. But you know, just kind of looking at where the league is going, what we've heard Jonathan Kolb say he wants the New York Liberty to do, and kind of future-proofing this team. Does Betnijah fit that identity? The big question, though, that I continue to ask on the podcast is, if you don't have Betnijah specifically defensively, but thinking holistically about what she can do defensively and offensively, then do you have someone else? I think on the defensive side, the answer is Leo in some ways, but Leo does not necessarily, it's not that she can't, but she does not consistently give what Betnijah can give offensively. And we've also talked about this before on the pod, Brian. Leo doesn't hunt for shots. She just doesn't.
She gets like she playfully gets annoyed when people keep telling her you need to shoot more, and it's like, but you're so good at it. Just throw it up there. Throw it up. Throw it up.
Just throw it up.
Yeah, but I guess to that point also, it's one of those things. It's like, I guess my brain sometimes when it comes to roster construction becomes like, I become ruthlessly efficient, where it's like, oh, this is the thing you have to do. If the feelings are hurt, do it. It's one of those things that I think I'm like that more of the men, because I'm like more detached. And so it's like, oh, okay, you got to do it, forget it, whatever. But I think for the Liberty context, my brain wiring is different when it comes to that. And I think it comes with, because you see people who have meant so much, not just to her teammates, but to like just the broader community of the team and fan base. And I think B is someone that has been so essential to what this operation has been, because she was really Kolb's first big free agent swing. Like, and it hit immediately in 2021 as Sav was getting healthy, when Tosh Howard got hurt early on, and then it's Betnijah like really pushing and getting the Liberty into postseason contention and doing that kind of thing. It's one of those things where you want to keep people like that in the building. And I think having, beyond just like the sort of like the feeling you engender with the fan base, I think institutional knowledge matters a lot when it comes to jobs. And you can't have, I don't think you can have a situation where where there's so much turnover except for like 3 people. I think that's where you sort of like lose things over time, because even if you're constantly you're always looking to improve the roster, but you want to make sure you have enough foundation built in. So for the new people who are coming in, they have people who have been with the franchise for a long time and can really make it work in that respect. So I think even So I think even if the on court may not be where everyone wants it right now, I think just the overall everything Betnijah has meant and I think will continue to mean to her teammates and the fans as well. I think that's a situation where you gotta you have to figure out the best way to make the most out of her talent and where she is right now while still leaving room where if it's I gotta dial her back a little bit whilst you're still able to make her feel and make her a part of what the foundation is because for the fan I understood why the fans were mad on Friday because hey, it's our favorite player and someone who's meant a lot. Like we're winning, yes, but we everyone wants to feel like they're contributing to something. You don't want it to be where it's like, I'm just riding along and I'm not in it. I want to be in it. It could be any type of basketball.
And listen, I think Betnijah is a professional, right? I don't doubt that. What seems to be the hang up is the communication here because Betnijah has had these conversations before with the New York Liberty. We broke that down on our last podcast, but if you missed it, just a reminder that Betnijah and Sandy Brondello were very transparent with they were trying to figure that out. And Sandy saying things like Betnijah is wanting this. She wants to be an option on the offensive side, and I want that for her. I need to find a way to make that happen. And I'm doing that. It's just not going to be exactly what she wants right now, but we're going to work toward it, is how I interpreted and heard what Sandy was saying. What we hear Chris saying is that she's an important part. She will be an important part. It's not that same. It doesn't sound to me, and it's not. I will be in fairness, I don't think these are necessarily for a few different reasons, like for like comparisons. So I just want to put that out there. I don't hear Chris committing in the same way that Sandy did to figuring it out as far as what Betnijah asked for. That being said, Brian, I don't know that we know what Betnijah is asking for or what the need is on her side because there's the reconditioning part of this. There's the playing off the bench part of this. And then what we can report is that, and you've already done this a few times, is that her teammates are making sure to pour into her and that Betnijah took some time away for personal reasons. And if we take the time away for personal reasons at face value, which why wouldn't we? Because there have been times she's been a DNP and there's been times she's been out with injury. So why would they then all of a sudden say, personal reasons? So I think all of that seems to be above board, so to speak. What we don't know yet, and maybe won't ever know, is what are the conversations like with Chris and Betnijah? Is there something that makes, and I want to say this matter-of-factly, not as an emotion, and actually I was going to use a different word. I'll figure out a different word. I guess what I'm trying to say is how clear-cut are the asks from the team and how clear-cut are the asks from Betnijah?
Yeah.
And is there more conversation that needs to happen so that there's an understanding? Is it that there's understanding, but there's not agreement? Is it that there's no understanding, there's no agreement, and there's no path forward ever? Is there no path forward in the immediate? Is there no path forward in the intermediate? I don't really know. I don't think we have all of those answers yet. And I think perhaps it's because it is stuck somewhere in the middle. That's the sense that I'm getting. This conversation is a little bit stuck and it might also just be time and circumstance, honestly.
Yeah.
Which I could see being uncomfortable for a player like Betnijah Laney-Hamilton.
Yeah, and I think just off of observation I saw today at practice, everything seemed to be good. She was engaged as usual, interactive as usual. Her and JK were chatting for a good while. It was very loose and fun. So I think I just want to, not that anyone's gonna do it, but I don't want to sort of have it be a sense that we're trying to indicate that she's like unhappy or anything like that, when that's not what we're saying. It's more
Right.
like okay, what's the role going to be, what it looks
Right.
like. And I think that's a human thing, and it's not a problematic thing. Just like I know that people here wouldn't do it, but I just want to like presage it and just like jump ahead of it just in case someone else does. So I think it's one of those things where I feel with her working back to where she wants to be, Andrew Wade, the assistant coach, has been very helpful with her. Like JK has always been there. Like I think that's where I think as time progresses, we'll have to hold Chris to the, hey, she's going to be a part of the rotation. So I think that's where time is going to really play a role into it, because as we always say here on the pod, the further you get away from an injury, the more you look like yourself. And she's a couple weeks off of a few weeks off of the injection in her knee that kept her up for a while. So the further she gets away from that, and the more excuse me, the more time progresses, we'll have to see if what the public facing communication is of, oh, we're going to get her minutes, she's going to be a key part of the team. That's where I think that's where the accountability piece comes into play, where it's, oh, okay, this is the thing you said, this is the thing you volunteered to us. How does it look X amount of time later? Now that we're further away from injury, we are deeper into the postseason chase. We're pre-World Cup break. Now, what does that look like? And now, how are you going to incorporate and build your rotation from here on out? Now that, fingers crossed and knock on wood, that everybody is back in full strength, what does it look like? And excuse me, what does it look like also when it comes to managing people's minutes? Because we haven't said it yet, but Leo is officially questionable tomorrow night with foot soreness. And it's one of those things where, oh, okay, someone's not at full strength. Do you incorporate a player like an Anelli Maley you bring her up off of developmental for a night, just so you have an extra player, because you don't want to go against a good Dallas team missing two players in Satu and potentially a less than full strength, or maybe even completely out Leo. So what does that look like for you as head coach? What does it look like? Do you've said you want to give Stewie a bit of a breather, so you don't want to push her 36, 37 minutes, and you have a back-to-back this weekend. What does that look like? Is it more Raquel Carrera minutes? Is it, so that's where the complications and the complexities of being a head coach come into play. And when you don't have a full stack of cards to work with, how do you navigate and manage it accordingly?
Right. And, I think this is where these are the kinds of things that, for me personally, I would prefer the New York Liberty have a coach that knows the WNBA and has coached in the WNBA be answering these questions than someone that has to observe, assess, and then come up with the game plan all in real time. That's my personal preference. I'm not saying that it can't work. I just think that it makes it a little easier when you know the personnel through and through. And let's just be honest, Chris DeMarco is having to learn that and rely on other people. But at the end of the day, he's the head coach. And so I just wanted to say that, because I know that it's something that I've been pretty consistent with throughout.
Can I say that for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was talking about it with someone a few days ago, and they were telling me essentially something similar, and my brain, I think this is where me being late to the space rears its head again, where I'm like, oh, my brain is okay. You know the job, right? As far as putting the basketball of it together. And you've been around them enough to sort of have the communication dynamic where it should be, or possibly want it to be. I guess my brain is less like, oh, if you didn't know the WNBA coming in, it's a job. You're in the job, do the job kind of thing. But I feel like I might be underselling the interpersonal dynamics of it when it comes to being in the WNBA space. And I think this might just be me and to Swungover's point that they're hitting on as well too. I think that might be where my brain defaults to. Oh, basketball. This is basketball. Do the basketball thing.
Okay, let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. As someone who's done live broadcast before, right? If I had to on the fly at this point in my career broadcast a hockey game with no preparation, a basketball game with no preparation, or a softball game /baseball with no preparation, which would I prefer? And your answer or my answer might surprise you. It depends. One is, am I the analyst or am I play-by-play? You can get away with less knowledge about the people and do play-by-play, but you have to have exemplar knowledge of the sport. So is that a head coach or is that an assistant coach? I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comments. When you're an analyst, if you do not know the sport, the league, the teams, the players, the coaches, even though you're not the person giving the literal play-by-play, A'ja Wilson brings the ball down, shoots it from the nail. If you are the analyst and you don't know those things, it makes a massive difference than if you are the play-by-play who maybe doesn't know them in depth. So what does that look like? For me then, what I'm saying is I want an analyst as a head coach, because an analyst as a head coach can see what's happening and make the adjustments because you know the history. There are certain things in hockey I don't have to look up. There are certain things about the New York Liberty I don't have to look up because I lived it, I've talked about it, I've analyzed it, and I know it. I don't need to lay low and have someone else take over. I know it. I can look and go to a practice in May, Brian, and see how Betnijah and Laney-Hamilton is moving and tell you definitively. We don't have to run the clips back. How many times on the podcast have I said, I don't know if I like how she's moving? How many times when I was with you, Brian was like, oh, I don't know how she's moving. I don't like how she's moving. I know that. Not because I'm a great women's basketball head coach, never done that, but I know Betnijah Laney-Hamilton. So that's what I'm asking for when you say that this team is still a contending team. I think it's playing with fire to put someone who doesn't know the shorthand, who can't look at the gait of a player on their team and know that they're moving differently. Now, if it's a brand new head coach to the New York Liberty, are they going to necessarily know that? Maybe not. But do you think that Cheryl Reeve, Sandy Brondello, probably Stephanie White, that these are coaches? Natalie Nakase is a newer head coach, but she knows the WNBA. Those are the kinds of coaches that, for me, I think that they can look at something and immediately see what's wrong. Now, I don't think they do it in the same way. Sandy is emotionally intelligent, extremely emotionally intelligent. She can tell right away if a player's there's something off and will respond immediately to what that is. It might not be fixed immediately, but she will address it. Natalie Nakase is a mastermind as far as I'm concerned, or someone on her staff, because I got to give all the coaches the credit. She executes very well and knows exactly what she wants. And Ohema, you have to give credit here too, for building a roster that they know can play hard minutes on defense. They know that because they know the WNBA. Chris is having to learn those things. And look at New York versus Seattle. Sonia Rahman has time to learn those things with her players because the organization knows that they're effectively in a rebuild. They're not necessarily blinders on championship now. They know and want to take the time to build. That's not tanking. That's not losing on purpose. It's learning your personnel. Chris DeMarco does not have that luxury. The New York Liberty won a championship in 2024. They just won the Commissioner's Cup. And for as much as you hold any weight into it, they are considered contenders by every metric and measure that we have in basketball. Analysts, preseason polls, sports betting. You don't have to agree with all of it, but if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a, whatever the saying is, y'all know what I'm trying to say. Like, at some point, is everyone wrong? It's possible, not probable, or at least it shouldn't be. And that's been my biggest concern that I have tried to convey here, is that I don't know if Chris is or isn't the right coach to bring another title to the New York Liberty. What I do know from my experience and how I see the game, so I don't want to say that this is objective 100%. This is very much my opinion. I don't think it's easier to bring in someone brand new as compared to someone where there's at least a modicum of a shorthand when it comes to the league and the players in the league. Now, another way to look at it is, hey, there's this saying, the head coach is Erica. As I told you, I'm going to be like Eddie, come down from the rafters, from the nosebleeds. Listen, it could work. I could be absolutely wrong. I feel strongly, and I continue to voice at least the questions. I've also said there are things I really like that DeMarco is implementing. But the time that it takes to do some of this, is that realistic? And are you setting Chris DeMarco and his staff up to be the most optimally successful when there are so many things that should be shorthand and second nature to this team? And so that means that there is a lot of trust, perhaps. The way I would see it is that there's a lot of trust that this coaching staff has to give to its players, and that its players then have to be able to take on responsibility. You know what it feels like? And maybe this is my PTSD speaking. I'm an older child, the oldest of a family of all girls raised by a single mom. There just became a second hand that there were just things that Erica was going to handle. Nobody else. It's not that nobody else could do it. It's not that nobody else couldn't learn how to do it. It was so more efficient. Yeah, I'm so good at it. Thank you for that backhanded compliment and just putting more crap on my plate. See, now I'm going through a therapy session. I'm gonna get to my point. No, but the point is, I'm joking somewhat. When someone is used to doing something, sometimes it is more efficient to do it that way. But then when that person is gone, now the people who are not used to doing that have to take that on. And if there's not a transition, if there's not communication, if there's not a set way on how you're going to work by committee or find the next Erica to do everything, then the gains that you've worked for years to have, they can seem like there's a regression. I don't know exactly if that's happening. I think there are factors and outliers specific to 2026. But that's the constant question in my mind. Can you say this is still a true contender when there's so much newness at a critical position? I don't know. We don't know yet. But that's why on almost every show, it's like, yes, this is working and there needs to be more. Or yes, this sucks and we need to get healthy. It's not a comfortable cut and dry situation here. I see people calling for DeMarco's job. Is that what I'm doing? No. I also, though, would have made a different coaching decision. So it's not about holding his water or anything like that. And it's not about being overly critical. It's just, when are we going to figure out, are we going to figure out this season before whenever the last game is, if this is the right, if the Liberty is still on track? That's my biggest question right now.
No, I feel you. And I want to see if I can tie two threads together, see if it fits. So earlier I mentioned that JJ had talked about Pauline bringing such a youthful energy to the group that she thought was needed, especially coming off of last year when things didn't go where they wanted it to go.
I'm framing it. I'm gonna frame this, Damien. Thank you so much. This is the nicest thing you ever said to me. You know I like teasing you. I hope you do know I was just teasing on that last one. Thank you, as always, Damien, though. This is for real. Thank you for your constant support. And I do like your perspective and point of view. I like that you offer them. I don't always agree with them, but I like that you offer them. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think there's just a lot that we have to go through, Damien. Anyway, I'm sorry, Brian. Continue.
Yeah, I think I want to see if I can tie two threads together and see if it fits. I want to see if you're possibly where I'm at with it. So earlier we mentioned that JJ said that having Pauline has brought such a youthful energy, which is what they needed after, especially after last year when things didn't go the way they wanted it to. I wonder if my thinking is, I guess the thought I'm having is, even if the person that is in the big chair is not someone that is well versed in this terrain, but having a youthful energy, a newer energy combined with a youthful newer energy in the roster, I wonder if we sort of put that together, if not to say that they were in the doldrums last year, but a jolt of a different kind of energy could be the thing that they really needed to get back to where they needed to be. I wonder, and I think especially where the sort of like ground experience may not be there, but the new energy might be the thing where it's like, oh, this is a bit of a change up. Like this is, and it seems like it's working so far. I wonder if this change up here in the big chair, change up with with a different flow and energy to the roster as compared to what it had been in the past few years. I wonder if they sort of like combine and it has like a synergistic effect where it's, oh, okay, the newness really carries us through the grime and dirt of a regular season, and then by postseason time, when everything is lined up the way we want it to, the experience that the rest of us have and fighting the playoff battles we have done, if that's going to be the thing where it's like, oh, the new energy brought us through the regular season, but now the battle tested playoff hard rocks are the ones who can come on.
Amir saying at Brian, so you saying I just want to read this for our audio listeners. We love our audio listeners. Amir saying, and Brian, so you saying Chris and Pauline are in pre-K together?
Oh man.
Oh man. And listen, swung over asking, by youthful, do we just mean faster or is there something else?
She didn't specify when she said youthful energy. I think just like, especially the group last year trended a little bit older, I'd say, because with the exception of Leo last year, it was all players who have at least like 4+ years experience in the WNBA, at least like 4, 5, 6 years experience, something like that. Now, Pauline, rookie, Raquel, rookie, it's like a different feel to what they're doing this year. And I think the feel helps. And beyond just the feel of it itself, I think the roster is a little bit better than what it was last year. And I think especially for a player like a Pauline, who has really, I think, taken everyone that's not Jonathan Kolb by surprise for all of us who are brand new to her, that different kind of energy, I think, matters a lot, because now as she's gone through her first tour of the league, she's been able to be successful and she's shined and she's really excelled, and is someone that they've openly said, oh, we'll have to make sure she's a big part of what we're doing going forward because she's been so good. That kind of energy, I think, is sort of like helpful, because it's almost like found money in a sense where it's, oh wow, I found this $100 bill.
I mean, but to Swillover's point, let's be specific. I don't know what was meant by youthful. What I can tell you from my observations that Pauline brings is someone that can get downhill, someone that can work through ball pressure, someone that can help defensively with traps and full court pressure. It's someone that can finish when driving to the rim and not just attack and then kick. She can shoot the perimeter. Now, what have I also been saying for a while? The New York Liberty needs to get serious about finding a backcourt partner for Sabrina Ionescu. And I said, sans Sabrina, because we didn't have her for a while. And like, y'all missed me all the way. I dodged those strays with saying that this is a team that's better without Sabrina. No. But what they are likely, and what I see the vision to be, is that they can be the best. We will see the best version of Sabrina when Sabrina and Pauline work together, because Pauline is a versatile hybrid guard, and there is overlap in their skills, but their strong suits complement each other so that there's not too much overlap. That's what I really like, because Pauline is going to, she's not the greatest defender on the team. That still goes to Leo and Stewie and Betnijah, as far as I'm concerned. I don't agree. I know there was a comment saying that Satu is not a two-way player. I think, who is the best two-way player in the league right now? Or the best two-way players in the league?
Might just
I think you got to go Stewie, Asia. Veronica Burton is pretty solid.
Yeah.
Best, I got to think about that.
Yeah. I feel like
go ahead.
Yeah, my brain defaults. Oh, best WNBA anything Asia Wilson, and then I'll just figure out the rest from there. Oh, best scorer Asia Wilson. Oh, best rebounder Asia Wilson. Oh, best representative of the league Asia Wilson too. Funny that just put best and then just like slide in Asia Wilson after that, and then I'm like, okay, that's solid. And then I just work with everyone else after.
Yeah. Play together. I think a lot of people have said that, and that's the vision that I see. One over the other. You don't need to choose. Then Liberty. I was like, we don't need to choose between the two. They can play together and complement each other. But yeah, that youthful thing, I don't think it's just faster. I do think that the Liberty have been dinged and people have been wanting to see this team get younger. But again, what does that even mean? Oh, thank you. Gabby Williams is a great two-way player. I think we're starting to see again, and I already got into this, but we're starting to see, where was that on the other show? I do a lot of podcasts, y'all. I'm sorry. Sometimes I'd be forgetting where I said things. But I know this, that we're seeing more of Gabby's offense in the WNBA because she's now with a team that's making her a top option as compared to just like something in the secondary.
And funny you say that. We discussed that specific concept about Gabby in the world famous Women's Basketball Roundup newsletter that you, dear viewer, thanks to viewers like you, the Women's Basketball Roundup has been very fun and engaging, and you should tell your friends and your enemies to subscribe today.
Don't do me like that, Mike. Don't do me like that.
Yeah.
Don't do me like that.
Mike, we out here. Don't worry. We all in the same gang, boss.
In the club, we all family. But I could tell you, if there's one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna call it back to when I was right. And I know for a fact, I've been asking for a good backcourt partner. And once I started getting to see what Astier could do, because I'm an eye test person, unapologetically. Y'all want to be like, what about so-and-so? I'm like, I gotta see it. I'm not committing to nothing. Show me the money. So, there you go. Jordan Canada is getting there. I would not say is at the upper echelon, but I see what you're doing there. Okay, let's get to glad that was helpful. We've already talked about this. Also, check the spelling, because I don't know what Caitlin you're talking about. But if you meant Caitlin Clark, we're not doing. We already did that. We're not going back there. But let's talk about on the trade tip. August 7th, I believe, is the trade deadline.
Long way away.
my intel here is, well, first of all, the Liberty are not trading Sabrina and Usku. I just no, they're not doing that. With Betnijah, who's been kind of a part of trade rumor conversations, here's the thing. The New York Liberty, as I continue to argue, are considered and sometimes even play like true contenders, right? If Betnijah is looking for more significant starting minutes, then what kind of a team is she going to? And what does that team have in return that the Liberty are going to want as someone in the proper contender category? So then you have to think about, okay, maybe you're going to, and if she wants to, and she's definitely good enough to help a team get to a deep run in the playoffs, then you're thinking about trading one of your best defenders to another true contender. I'm not really, if I'm a GM, which I'm not, but if I were a GM, I don't know that I'm really trying to do all that. And then you also have to look at price point. Could Betnijah Laney-Hamilton be making more than $400K somewhere else? Maybe. Should she be making more than that for the New York Liberty? Maybe. But now you got to send her somewhere where she's going to fit the cap. And who is that has that much cap space, that can give a solid return and something that the Liberty needs, that is going to have room for Betnijah, if we're looking at it from Betnijah's perspective, in the starting lineup? And if you look at it from the Liberty perspective, who is a team that you don't mind giving Betnijah Laney-Hamilton up to, and then having to play them in the regular season, unless I guess she goes to Portland, you know, and that you're okay with? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I can think of any team that fit all of that criteria.
Yeah, and the sort of like chemistry building process of doing it in the stretch run, and then you're not gonna have 3 weeks to work with because you're losing that time for FIBA World Cup, and then you come back and then it's welcome back to North America. It's playoff time. Buckle up. So it's trading in this league is very hard, even on the best day. And now with an evolving salary cap and managing out, roster spots, teams having to figure out the dev spots, and then you've got all those things in the air all at once, barring something incredibly surprising that I can't foresee hold now. On.
I'm sorry, Damien. You talking about Betnijah for Alicia Clark?
No. Cope hangs up the phone. Like, no.
I don't in 2026?
No.
I love AC's game. And it's been a while since we've seen peak AC.
Yeah.
I would say no to that. I would say it's a no for me, dog. Yeah. This is interesting. I don't think so. I'm trying to
mid-season. That's
like true mid-season. I mean, because Tosh Cloud was a trade.
Yeah, off-season trade.
But that was off-season.
Tosh Howard was an off-season trade.
Off-season. Tina Charles was an off-season. Maya
was off-season.
JJ was also a trade, right?
Yeah, off-season.
Off-season. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Emma Messiman was a free agent signing.
Yeah.
This is a good point. This is a very good point. Among all of those other reasons that we gave, it doesn't seem to fit the character.
Hey, Lang,
for Alicia Clark. Oh, nah. Let's see. There were some other questions that we had in here. All right, let's get down to it because we really didn't prep for Dallas. I know we've alluded to it. I think, and that's where the show thumbnail comes from. Really good prove it game.
Mm-hmm.
Prove it game.
Yeah,
it's a prove it game.
And one thing that Beck was talking to us about today, she mentioned that they let it slip in the third quarter, and they've been better at that recently. So now, if the game is still within range in the third quarter, how do they make sure they don't allow Dallas to get out in transition? How do they sort of limit those opportunities? If Leo is shorthanded or out, what do the rotations look like? Who gets what matchup? And I think also a lot of it will come down to them having success in the boards. JJ was like a vacuum getting the boards against Las Vegas and Minnesota. She'll be facing off against top 10 Jess Shep tomorrow night, I should say. All-star Jess Shep at that.
All-star starter.
All-star starter.
Oof.
Dallas Wings, and also it's gonna be it's gonna be Husky night tomorrow night, which is for hilarious atmosphere, because it's gonna like, if for the folks at home, if you are tired of the University of Connecticut, buddy, you're gonna be in the wrong place tomorrow.
Yeah, don't watch tomorrow.
Yeah, just watch. Put on mute the sound. Just put on your favorite jazz playlist. Just listen. Let the smooth sounds wash over you while you watch your team play basketball, because you're gonna hear a lot of Connecticut references tomorrow, and it's probably gonna get on your nerve. So
yeah.
I would say just as a recommendation from me to you, dear viewer, put on some music tomorrow night at 8 p.m.
Well, there you go. From UConn to Oregon, is Satu ever coming back? Well, we sure hope so. But concussions are a funny business.
Yeah, like she's been around the team for the past couple of days. Chris mentioned that she's making progress. She's still, like, I guess day to day, their part lines are still out. So she's been around the team, which is a great sign. Like, especially for concussions, being like, you want to have someone away from just like the hustle and bustle and noise of everything, especially early on, especially since the post-concussive symptoms reflected after the fact, after it looked like it wasn't anything to start. So the fact that she's around the team is a great development, and it's hopefully a sign that she's back pretty soon. And for now, when she does come back, I'll have to ask Chris because I was trying to workshop the question. I was asking Owen about it, like, for players and coaches, how do you sort of like strike the balance of getting back to where you want to be, but without putting too much pressure on yourself to get there, where it's like,
you just have to have, I think, bite-sized or digestible goals. Like, keep it short and simple. Like, what is the focus for today? Like, that's what I would say is the answer.
Okay.
All right, coming back to Oregon, Erica, you wouldn't think about possibly trading Sabrina Ionescu to another team?
Hey, you do it again. Like,
no. I feel like I've been. Where's Aloysius? Are you here? Are you lurking in the chat? Aloysius? Let us know. The answer for me is a no, dog. It's a no for me, dog. I would not consider that. I don't think there's any reason to consider that. So it's a no for me. All right. We talked a lot about Betnijah. I forgot to come back to this one by Fabian. Thoughts on the B chance? I'm asking the whole chat. What did y'all think when you heard the crowd cheering for Betnijah Laney? Let us know in the chat. But Brian, what were your thoughts? You were in the building.
Yeah, I was like, oh, caught me a little bit by surprise. But then after a minute, I was like, okay, it makes sense. Like, you want to see your favorite player, and you want the team to win first, but then you want to see your favorite player contribute while they do so. And I think for people who may not be in New York, like, she means a lot to this building. And I remember one time, like, Miles caught video of her like practicing on the court after she came in from like injury, I think it was a couple seasons ago. She came back in, and like as soon as she pulled up, just like overwhelming cheers from like front to back. And this is before the crowd is even in the building. So this is like warm-ups, like before the game. Like this is in like the 90-60 window. And for folks who don't know, that's the 90 minutes before the game, and then the 60 minutes before the game, where players are doing their shoot arounds and getting their stuff worried in. And so like getting them in position to get ready for the game. So it's something where she means a lot to that building. And I think however her play may be, like, she means a lot to that building. And also, Erica, we were there, like, she fought through with one leg against a darn good Minnesota team.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And I have a starred comment and a nice little treat as we close out the episode, but we'll get to that. I like this comment. Black Metronome saying also, Pauline and Sab gonna cook some wings tomorrow. I think it's gonna be a good game. I really think it's a good game. And yes, of course, we hope Satu goes without saying is doing okay. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a really good game. And hey, Al Page saying B's gonna have a breakout game tomorrow or Saturday. I have a feeling. All right. People are liking the Betnijah Laney. Listen, everyone's calling for it. I would love to see it, especially since we spoke about her in the third quarter. It was an emotional audio that we played. Thank you, Brian, for grabbing that and giving some context since there was no video. No one had video of that. So we talked through it. Not Mike saying that he does not like Mike does not like the trade chats. Hey, listen, we'll see. All right, let's go. We got a few other things. This is something that has come up, and I mentioned it earlier. 7-3. I think 7-3 is very doable, and honestly, anything worse than 7-3, we're gonna be talking about it. Because I do think that I can see Dallas taking one of these next two games that they have against it. I'm just going to be honest. And that's because of some of the things that we've talked about before. We know there, yes, are some health concerns, but there's also inconsistency. This team kind of spaces out at times, at inopportune moments in the game. They lost a lead in the Commissioner's Cup, right? I mean, we saw that. They eventually won. And so hopefully they've turned that corner, that they will lose a lead and lose it for good. But when you go up 17, why, who wants to have to work all that hard if you don't have to? So I think Dallas is going to be, again, this is a good prove it week for the New York Liberty, Brian. Let's just run through like what the schedule is looking like for the Liberty, because I mean, it's not just Dallas, right? It's not just Dallas that they have upcoming. So it's the Dallas Wings at New York Liberty tomorrow. It's going to be on, it's probably, I don't know who it is, but again, if it's a UConn battle, I'm thinking Lobo. It's going to be Ruco and Lobo.
No.
Oh,
Actually,
that's right. We already have the game notes. Who is it?
Yeah.
Who is it? I didn't see.
Tomorrow night, in honor of being the first announced team to call a WNBA game on ESPN way back in June of 1997.
That's right. Oh, man. That's that team.
Roberts, Basketball Hall of Fame.
I forgot completely about that. I was not picking up what you were throwing down when you said, I thought you were just talking about the players. I completely forgot that was a Liberty game.
If I knew what the UConn fight song was, I'd probably sing it right now, but I feel like the chat would throw me out the building if I tried it. So
I probably, if I thought about it, and then I know that there's a shorthand, UConn Huskies. Anyway, I completely forgot that was that game. Okay, anyway, well, there you go. Now it's a UConn affair. I think Swung Over was asking, like, who else from UConn? And I was not picking up what Brian was throwing down. Robin Roberts, Gino Auriemma. I have thoughts. I've shared some of them in our Slack channel. So if you're not a member of our Slack channel, subscribe to the Women's Basketball Roundup. There's a free subscription. We also have a premium, which, of course, we want you to subscribe at a premium level. But either way, a subscription nonetheless will get you access, if you don't already have it, to our Slack channel. Dang, I forgot that was tomorrow. Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. Tight. So after that, it's Minnesota at against Toronto in Quebec, or excuse me, not Quebec. Yes, Quebec. Montreal is in Quebec at the Bell Center. That's taking me back to my hockey roots. That's on Sunday. And then by next week, a nice break for the Liberty. So we'll have time to re-up and talk about tomorrow's game before they play Dallas next, which is next week, Thursday. But it's a prove it week, or I should have said week and a half, because then they also have the Indiana Fever. And eventually they'll take on, and the Indiana Fever game is on CBS July 18th. You're going to want to check it out. Number one. That's right. Betnijah Laney-Hamilton to Toronto. No. I mean, I would love that for B because of all of the things that I say about Sandy Brondello, but I would hate it for the Liberty, and I don't think that they should trade her anywhere. But anyway, I digress. Okay, let's see if there's anything else that was brought up while I was clamoring away. Yes, that is what we said. Swung
That's
over.
right. That's right. It's gonna be it's Women's Empowerment Night tomorrow night. It's gonna be Husky Night as well. Everybody gonna bring their Husky jerseys to Barclays Center. Just so you watch. Gonna be 16,000. Probably gonna be like at least 6,000 of them. And they
Okay,
favorite.
you know what? I just got mad again. I just got mad again. Listen, I'll say it this way. I was at the Final Four. I did know it was women's empowerment because we have another member of our street team who's going to be there tomorrow. Look out for Alexis wearing a Black Rosie Media shirt, going to be doing some trivia, and you'll have an opportunity to win some of our very limited Black Rosie Media pins. So make sure you look out for that, and we'll also drop it on social. But here's the thing. Not only are we getting Gino Auriemma, and he definitely has takes. A lot of them are hot. Some of them are very funny, but I don't always agree with this man. But y'all gave us Gino Auriemma and the amazing Robin Roberts on Women's Empowerment Night. Now Gino ain't out of the doghouse for Final Four.
He on probation.
I don't know. Am I joking? I feel like we're family here. This seems a little anti-Black woman.
He on probation. He got a long probation to work his way out.
Come on. Listen, come on now, Gino. You ain't out the door. So don't come with your little jokes. I'm gonna need you to keep it clean. Call a clean game. Don't come with too much personality, Gino. I'm gonna need you to chill. Now, have you ever known Gino to chill? And see, now I'm mad because Gino don't chill. I'm trying to enjoy women's empowerment, and now you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to hear Robin, but I don't know if I'm ready yet, Gino. And maybe I should give you the benefit of the doubt, but also I said what I said. I said what I said.
There it is.
Dang, man. See, now I'm mad. Oh, Lord. See, I loved it when I just thought you were talking about the Husky players.
No.
And the Husky, like the Huskies, not just to be. Don't clip that and try to make it like no. This is we ain't doing no phobias.
The bit behind the bit is never ending. There's one bit to the next bit, It all
hey, I gotta keep you on your toes, Brian. I gotta keep you on your toes. Listen, man, that's all right. I'm gonna let it go for now because we're gonna wrap this show up eventually. We're not gonna be here for another 20 dang minutes. Dang. Okay, I'm okay. We're good. Let's get back to the basketball. Hey, gotta stay home on AZ. Hey, come on. Backs.
Now starting AZ third.
Okay, so let's just say Leo's out of the picture. Okay. Who do you like for the AZ FUD matchup?
I think probably B because AZ is someone that does a lot of like catch and shoot. So if you're able to have B provide that gap help since AZ is not really moving as much as far as coming off screens. And I might have Pauline just pick up Paige full court, just like really try to like hector and hassle her enough to keep her away from the rim and just sort of like force her into jumpers. Like she's so good at them anyway, you might have to live with it. And then just sort of like hope that the defense around everything else is solid. And I think this is going to be a game where they're going to need to really sort of like boss up on the glass. Because I think if they're able to control the glass, they're able to keep Dallas from getting out on the run. And then they're able to make a lot of things work on the inside themselves. So I would say if they're able to win the boards by at least 5, I like the chances tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, folks saying like this ain't a game to DNP Laney. Especially if Leo needs some rest. Give that child some rest. We need a healthy Leo. Yeah. So, for B's sake, again, we're talking basketball things. If there are other things and B needs what she needs, and that's not to play in this game, then of course, I think it's fair to speak on behalf of everyone at Black Rosy Media that we want the best for B. But B, if you could go, come on now. If you can go, come on now. This is so interesting. And we talked about it a little on the last episode, Brian, and I think we're going to have to get into it again sometime soon. The trust of the bench. I hear you. I don't know that I trust the bench completely. Not beyond like Rebecca Gardner. And you know how I feel about Han. So for me, in Beck Gardner, I trust. In MJ, I trust. If Betnijah's there, you already know. If Pauline is there, we're good.
Yeah.
I mean, but how much of this is victim of circumstance, right? I didn't love Raquel Carrera's minutes the other night. Didn't love it. I think that was in the Commissioner's Cup. Didn't love it. Marine F not seeing enough. So in a game against Dallas, I'm not sure it's the right time. Unless we're up by a lot. I don't know if it's the right time.
Yeah, well,
so I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. We'll circle back to this conversation more throughout the season. Don't worry.
I mean, Charisse, we might have to go there. I don't know. I mean, I would be okay with Allen. Allen has not been utilized by this team. Agree or disagree? I mean, it's just a fact, right? That being said, I know in theory what we can get from Beck Allen, and especially if her shot is falling, I'll take it against Dallas. I'll take it. And yeah, sorry, this is where I wanted to go. Might have to play the same 8. That's how it goes.
And that's where my brain, especially in regular season, I'll sacrifice a game here. I'll sacrifice a game here and there to keep the pitch count low. So maybe, but that's where
Charisse, I don't think I can agree with you on that. Rebecca Allen can shoot the ball. Yeah. Now we ain't seen a lot of Rebecca Allen, but like I don't know. Maybe am I being nostalgic here, Brian? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Charisse, it's a little bit cold this year, but everyone goes through like dips. So I guess it's just one of those things where if she plays and then she's getting them, you ride it out and see. But then again, as he mentioned, you can't if your 8 is your 8 and you're not getting in, it makes it a little bit harder. And then now if you're potentially down, you're do everything wing tomorrow night against a wing heavy team. It's going to be a little bit shaky. So I don't know. I'm big rotation man in the regular season. Like that's just my wiring. And I think that's how I'm always going to be. So I'm always like, okay, big rotation, regular season. By the last couple weeks, you shave it to the 8 or 9 you want, and then just ride from there. So I'm big rotation man. Like keep everyone's pitch count low early, like it's like early to mid season. Towards the end of the year, when you have to really get to where you got to go, you do it. But until then, yeah.
I've been saying Allen needs time, because here's the thing. And I'm an eye test person. I guess I'm more Sandy Brondello than anything, right? I rather go with what you know. I know that Beck Allen can shoot lights out. She burn the Liberty when she was with Connecticut? Wasn't that game?
Game one semifinal. I remember.
Nasty work. I think you need her shot. And you know what? Maybe she don't make those shots. Take them. Please take them. And do the, okey doke Sabrina 1 in 19, 1 in 8, whatever it was. I don't care. But we need her to shoot the ball because eventually those shots will fall. But if she's not getting any reps, is she more of a liability defensively than some other people that are getting reps? I mean, we need more time to have that conversation. But I think you need to, because otherwise, then what was the reason? What was the reason to sign her? You know what I'm like? No, sir. No.
Oh.
There's Rebecca Gardner, and then there's Rebecca Allen. Beck
Erica,
with a C.
Emojis to tell.
Oh,
feel
I
like
see.
you're
There you go.
doing
There you go. I was like, no, sir. No, sir. Okay. I didn't get as far as the emoji, so that's on me. So
Yeah.
this is like a wink, wink. Okay. All right. All right. I was like, wait a minute. Don't. I get sensitive about names because I'm Erica with a C, not Erica with a CK, not Erica with a K. If you're going to spell my name wrong, spell it the way Erica Badu spells it, and I might not go off on you. But like, these things are sensitive. If you're Beck with a C or Beck with a K, then that's who you are. But don't be making a Beck with a C, a Beck with a K, and a Beck with a K, a Beck with a C, and don't make it a CK if it ain't a CK.
How many Rebecca CKs do I know? I don't think I know any.
I know that was on me, Mike boy. I apologize.
We
Brian
Gucci.
caught it. I did not pick up what you were throwing down. I just saw red because I was like, no. Don't be adding a K when it's a C and a C when it's a K. Don't be doing that. That's like the Caitlyn thing. I mean, that's not my name, but I'm just like, there's Caitlyn with a K, there's Caitlyn with a Y. But the Caitlyn y'all be talking about, like, she got a million different ways to spell her name, allegedly. Crazy. Okay, I caught up, Mike. You hit me. You hit me in the sensitive spot, right under the rib. You got me in the rib. Yeah, listen, this is another thing she can do. Underrated. She definitely can block shots. Anyway, we'll see. We do need more of a rotation. But Amir, I don't know if you're still here, but Amir talked about the shot. So we're going to go back to the shot. Never let us forget that Betnijah said when that shot kicked in, I just let it fly. And then it won us the game in the 2024 finals. Oh, in case you did forget, let's go back.
B, I have one for you. You were able to speak to Holly Rowe in game, in the last game, and I think you said something effective to, the shot kicked in.
Well, Betnijah, you have a career playoff high points in this game so far. How have you been able to fight through all you're dealing with physically to be at your best today?
Man, that shot finally kicked in.
I was curious, did you mean your jump shot or were you referring to a different type of shot?
Both.
Thanks, B.
Listen, still one of my favorite clips. That's why I keep it. I keep it on deck all times.
Flute is a media all-star because she gradually slid into the cut, let B deliver it, land the plane, and then that's it.
I loved it. I mean, we love the shot. You're right, Alan. Beck with a C. Thank you. I caught up. She is scrappy. She doesn't get enough credit for that. She's scrappy, not to be trifled with, which is why she lit up the Liberty, okay? In that game we were talking about, lit them up. And she likes to cut. This is something that she said she was looking forward to, Brian, when it came to the new offense, and that is something that works for her. And we know in the past, the ball has gotten stuck for this New York Liberty squad. I'm talking about more of the historic past. It does happen in the 26th version, not as much. So I like that. I will say that. I find that to be an improvement. And you, Beck, both of the Becks do a pretty good job moving without the ball. And I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it. Not Amir saying, she said both, not both. There's a difference. Culturally, there is a difference. Well, listen, culturally, we kept y'all way too long, but that's what we're known for here. And listen, y'all keep coming back, so we appreciate you more and more. Great conversation. I told Swung Over when we started the chat, some tough questions that still need to be answered. But until we have the answer, we're going to ask. So for right now, what does that mean for Betnijah Laney-Hamilton? But as we saw at the end of today's show, it's not just B when it comes to the rotations. And that is a question that Chris DeMarco is going to have to answer. But honestly, I think the answer is that he's kind of doing what Sandy did. Now, whether that's more of his ethos or by circumstance, I would probably lean toward the latter. But he's got to get his first and most consistent rotation together, and that's the starters. But how are we up to 10 yet? 10 yet different starting rotations? It's been a lot.
Yeah, a lot of like experimentation, I'd say.
And that's just where this team is at. But they're still a top team in the league right now. As of today's recording, they're in that 5 spot, above 500. So you'll take that. And we hope that some of those games that could have been wins a little earlier don't come back to bite them in the butt. Because again, the next swing right here, this is a prove it week, and it starts tomorrow with Dallas. That's all we have for today's episode. We love your comments. We love your comments live. We love them in our Slack channel. We want you to keep commenting. We even get folks that watch the replay. The replay is always available, both this version, our live stream version, and then we also have one that's a cleaner without the comments. For some people who want that, that's the same version that we also have audio only. So sometimes you'll see us repopulate this, but it always has the date stamp if you're curious. So we have all of that. And a reminder, if you want to have conversations with us throughout the week, like today we didn't even get to it on the podcast, but we did talk about what's going on in Chicago in Slack today. Then make sure you are subscribing to the Women's Basketball Roundup. Our next digest will be out Wednesday, so you're going to want to subscribe. There's a free subscription tier. We also have a premium subscription, which has a mini podcast that we release usually on Fridays. It will actually be Wednesday this week. But we have so many goodies for you here at Black Rosie Media, not to mention Tempestagi Talk, which is our Seattle Storm podcast. We have a podcast on the PWHL, not just the PWHL, but primarily the PWHL and women's hockey at the international high level. So now it's time to hit the like and then hit the box out. Let's go. All right. Game day tomorrow. Brian's going to be in the building getting great tidbits as well as Alexis being there. If you think you know your Liberty and Women's Empowerment WNBA trivia, find the woman with the Black Rosie Media shirt on and you might get one of our limited edition pins. We've got our Paris 2024 pins, we've got our Milano Cortina pins, and our original pin. And those are very limited and only if you can answer some of the toughest trivia questions that Alexis has for you on Women's Empowerment Night. If you're going to the game, enjoy. Go catch up with Brian and Alexis. If you're not, join me in Slack because I will be watching and listening, and we will get through it together. But until then, thank y'all so much for Brian Fleurantin, Erica L. Ayala, and it is time to hold on before we wave it out. Is the Slack channel through the Women's Basketball Roundup. That is how you get access. We used to have it open. I know we have some of the people that were early adopters, and so they got in on the ground floor here. But yes, right now, access is only through our Women's Basketball Roundup and eventually our women's hockey newsletter that will be coming out in the fall. But yes, that's how you get access to our Slack channel is through the Women's Basketball Roundup. All right. But again, for Brian, Erica L. Ayala here, let's wave. We're gonna. I don't think I should put my arm here. Anyway, that's a whole different thing. Anyway, wave. We're gonna get up out of here. Peace out, everybody.